Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the June meeting of the Economic Development Authority for the City of Lynchburg. I'd like to conduct roll call. Pat Mosby here. John Stone, Sally. Richard Tubman, absent. Sackett Wood, absent. Sean Hewitt,
Here.
Georgianne Sneed,
Present.
and Kimberly Sorensen.
Here.
All right. The minutes were sent in the agenda prior to the meeting to give you time to read and review. And just want to see if everyone approves. And I'll ask for a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, next on the agenda, we have nominating committee. Georgianne?
Yes, so Kim and I were asked to serve on the nominating committee. It was a hard job, but we managed to get through it. And the slate that we propose, which is in your packet, is the current slate of officers: John Stone, Chairman; Richard Tugman, Vice Chair; Pat Mosby, Secretary Treasurer; and Kim Sorensen, Assistant Secretary Treasurer. So that is the slate that we present. Kim's like, it's good. Ken does all the work.
Well, thanks, Georgianne and Kim, for serving on the nominating committee. And are there any other nominations from the floor?
And you all vote on this in July.
Yes, vote will be in July.
Yep,
Okay.
fantastic.
And now Margette will give us a staff report.
Okay, so we, city council voted, thank goodness, on the, on CIP, capital improvement program. They voted on it once and then brought it back up again, I think, the meeting before last. And the CIP impacts us because we have both Ivy Creek in the CIP, as well as the airport project is in CIP. I mean, it's pushed out years because we had the grant, but we also have a road, water, and sewer extension fund in CIP that we use, when somebody needs, when the private sector needs assistance, or there's something that's going to benefit the private sector or in some kind of way, and they don't have money in public works or some kind of issue there. So that is amazing. We're gonna have a property committee right after this. Sean, you will be on the property committee. And we'll go over this, but both the Ivy Creek and the airport, both of those contracts for the consultants for those and from Go Virginia as well as VEDP have been signed, and the work has already begun. So they are out there as we speak, working, doing due diligence on both the airport property and the other. Both of those grant programs came through the EDA. Okay. Andrew Marks, who is our tourism salesperson, is killing it. Just doing some really great work on bringing leads in to the city, and we're working with another group called Airstream Ventures, and they're not only sports and beyond sports, right? Like sports now has got so many things that Quidditch. That's so competitive sport that I didn't know about.
Harry Potter.
Yep. And I can't even remember some of the things that people are gathering for that Andrew has shared with me, but it's really big business, and they not only help municipalities from a lead generation standpoint, but they also operationally. So, in many cases, municipalities, either Parks and Rec or like here, Public Works, tries to get in there and be event coordinators and all that, and sometimes it doesn't go as well. And there's an experience factor there and all that stuff. So that group, we're really excited. And Andrew has already been to, I think he just went to, one of the very large sporting events, and it's got, and we've got that disc golf thing coming up. So that's really exciting. The local redevelopment program, Alicia, we delivered, city council gives money. Well, they don't, it's part of my budget now, but that passes through the EDA, because for finance, it's hard for them to do grants. So the EDA, keeps that money in a separate pot. And so we had 13 or 12 property owners that got that local redevelopment grant. And that's really all over the city. It used to be over just the enterprise zone side of it. But Alicia got all that, and Keisha got all that delivered. Emily and Gwen went to the Virginia Economic Developers Association summer meeting and did a presentation, and I had all kinds of people texting me, which they probably offered her jobs while she was there. And they do know my temperament and maybe thought better of it afterwards. Just wanted you all to know that we are still in the running in Project Gray Platinum.
Yes.
It's really kind of unbelievable. So Clayton, while I was gone, put together another package of information for them. So it's like, then we've never, I know I said this to you all before, but we've never had a lead that solid from VEDP in the whole time that I've been here. Nor had to really reach down in there and get put all of these things together. And we're really doing that with 2 sites that are in the midst of due diligence, right? 3 sites, if you look at all of those. So we also have 2 other prospects, 1 other prospect specifically for that building that's coming in right behind it, right? It might, hopefully, I just keep my fingers crossed that these other people make their decision before the owner of the building says, I'm pulling the trigger on this known entity, not this unknown entity. And then we had another prospect that had come in, and we're still working that. So this is just unprecedented. So it's very, very exciting. Staff's done fantastic job. So we are still working on a tech hub. I can't even tell you how political that is. The Fed EDA has put this application and this money out here for tech hubs. They're only going to have 20, I think, across the whole country. So every state is trying to gather up the folks to respond to that. Very short lead time. We happen to have Edison Welding Institute, which is a group that the EDA and we work with, that is on the campus of Ohio State. It's a group of engineers. It's a nonprofit, but it comes in and really helps manufacturing companies kind of deepen the bench. They handle a multitude of things. They'll look at, what your process is from the time you get materials on through. They audit. They also it will take, if you have a problem with your process, they will, and they're not in competition with anybody, right? And they're not, they will suggest machinery, they'll suggest process, they'll suggest all that, but they have no affiliation whatsoever other than to help the manufacturing industry. And they really started out as welding and then have morphed, and BWXT, Framatome, all of those folks have had long-term relationships with them because they also keep a really robust library and white paper library there where you can subscribe as a member and you can call them at any time and they will pull all kinds of information on whatever that subject matter is. So we're probably the only economic development office in the country that works with them, that if I have a company, because they have longstanding relationships that are profitable with Framatome BWXT, they will come here, and they've met with US Pipe, Hoffman, AMG, Novatech. They've done work with all of those groups here. So
What's the name of them again?
EWI, Edison Welding Institute, but they go, that's such a moniker that ties you into welding. There's so much more.
Yeah, I got you.
So much more
Streamline the
than that.
process.
They're really a dynamite group. So anyway, this tech hub, because Framatome and BWXT are located here, and part of what this application asks for is, advanced manufacturing, or it says we want you to be a global leader in 10 years. That's going to be really hard for a nonprofit to do. So Chris Conrady, who used to work for EWI, contacted me in January and just said, this is going to come out. I'm working with a group out of Kentucky. He's very familiar with Framatome and BWXT. He said, I really think that this application might be something they would be interested in. So because I had him as capacity to write a grant or to write an application, he's been working with me on it. But, we get on the phone with Senator Warner's group and all these people from Southwest Virginia, where the governor has said he wants to put a small modular reactor, and everybody is, in the fray to get the application. So we will see. We had a meeting last week with Virginia Tech, with VNEC, which is the Virginia Nuclear Energy Consortium, and some other folks on there to try to, get rolling, because this application is due in August. So we'll see. But at least Rex and Gary and the folks at Framatome know that we've led a charge on this, and we'll take it as far as we possibly can. We would look at more of a planning grant to be able to bring all of these disparate groups together who are all working on some form of this. How would that best, work? Because at some point in time, you gotta pick a horse and move forward with it from there. So
The actual site of the reactor, though, if we win, does that mean it could be placed closer to
no.
here, or is it still gonna be down in Abingdon?
Yeah, it would be
Abingdon
down,
or
it
somewhere
would
way
be somewhere down in
southwest?
there, and really interestingly enough, Gary, and, AEP and Delta Star and and VNEX executive director all were up at the Chamber of Commerce a month and a half or so ago. And we're just talking about who was gonna be the first to the table with a small nuclear reactor. I mean, everybody's gonna be on board there, but you don't know who's gonna be the first one. And all he's saying is, because of the distress that area has gone through with coal moving out, that's where he would like to place the first one, but nobody's saying who's gonna produce the first one to put there. The main thing would be that once those things start to move forward, we're gonna have another discussion here very shortly about some of this in closed session. So looking at things as they may move forward, that you're able to, for Framatome and BWXT, nobody's going to be able to do anything in Virginia without those two being part of it. So is it that they decide the physical location of the hub's going to be somewhere else, and we're just, an arm's length, we're part of the consortium, but we're not where it's located, or can it be located here? And
So what were they doing out in New London, though, that they were weren't they trying to build a reactor there?
Well, what happened is that BWXT at one time, that's why they leased one you all's building at 109 Ramsey Place, was because they were committed for a while there to a small nuclear reactor, and went down that road. And then from an investor standpoint, because they're a very conservative company, they were trying to get investors on board, and at that particular time they didn't, so they backed away. They're back in it again, they're all back,
I was gonna
to
say,
some
it sounded like
degree.
the same thing they
In
had
it
started.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, but everybody's in it. Westinghouse
Not
is in
just
it,
them.
making, yeah, so people will have one and they have different lines of business that they, like for BWXT, they have such an in with the military and and have had reactors on board submarines. So, they're all looking at that, when they do it. But anyway, it's a big lift, and if I didn't have Chris that was bringing that forward, I wouldn't have attempted it. But Megan and I, are trying to work through all of these other players out here who, are in the fray. So, I will keep you all, just yesterday, we had another, conversation about it. So, they're trying to come up with a date for you all to meet with, the planning commission for the comprehensive plan. So I don't know where Rachel has landed with pulling the date together, but you all probably got the doodle poll or something like
Yeah.
that to,
And I didn't mean to be difficult with August, I'm out of the country,
Yeah.
so I can't even.
right. Well, I think the problem was you all answered, and maybe from the planning commission side of it, you couldn't get some folks, everybody in the summer, that's a tough time to
That's tough,
pull people together. So anyway, it's exciting. I think that's gonna be a great meeting. I was trying to look at that meeting in terms of, instead of your retreat, being able to have that meeting, but I feel like I'm going to, last year, because we had new members, we did like an EDA 101, and Stephen came in and gave you some real particulars about Lynchburg itself, like getting specific about, like Richard has asked, how do these things impact Lynchburg? What's going on there? And nobody was able, I think one person was able to stay for the PowerPoint. I shared it, but we're gonna update all that because Sackett's asked and Sean's on here and everybody can do with a refresher. So
Yeah.
we'll put all that together, and it may not be a retreat where we keep you half a day, but we will do that. And then I think that could roll right in. And I'd like to share that particular PowerPoint. I'd like to share that with the planning commission as well, so that they really get an, because I think very few people know what you do. Know how this body operates and how integral it is to business within the city. So I think that could be very interesting, and perhaps they have something similar that they could share with us. But that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Margette. Now we're going to go into closed session. So Ted,
Ted has
could
to
you read
read it.
the code section?
Yeah. Okay, somebody needs to make a motion pursuant to section 2.2, 3711A3 of the Code of Virginia to discuss the location of a new business to discuss the location of a new business or the relocation of an existing business in the city for which no previous announcement has been made, and pursuant to 2.2, 3711A5 of the code to discuss real estate matters which may affect, the discussion may affect the price or the cost of the property. So we have to go in for two purposes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?